Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So good to have space that is low pressure and welcoming in terms of ease. And I hope that that's how we're feeling right now. So find a comfortable seat and allow the place wherever you are meeting solidness underneath you to root down, to anchor in such a way that feels supported and steady and comfortable. So equal parts comfort and alert readiness to welcome each moment as it arises and to welcome the breath too. Each wave of inhale and exhale. So we'll start there with just noticing. The gaze can be soft. You can have eyes closed or simply just cast downward. Let the eyelids be heavy, but let the heart be light. And let the breath move freely. Let it find its way in, and let it also find its way out. Go ahead and give permission to your mind to wander. It's going to. So don't be at odds with it when it does. And know that in the moment that you notice it's wandering, that's the moment that you've returned to presence. The welcome inhale and the ease of the exhale. All happening in the full presence and assertion of your steady seat. As we sit in relative quiet, we can acknowledge the ambient sound in our space around us. Let it exist in the background of the quiet that's being cultivated in the mind as you intentionally cultivate presence. And as we sit here in this space, in this time, we acknowledge the fullness of our consciousness and its capacity to exceed this time and this space, as it does so frequently. But that doesn't mean that we are not here in this moment all the time. And any time that we choose to follow the breath back, we can re-arrive. And that re-arrival of the spiritual essence of ourselves into the physical essence of ourselves is exactly what the breath means. The word respirate, to re-spirit ourselves, to come back again and again and again. Take a nice deep breath. Breathe it all the way out. And then perhaps move your body around a little bit, shift position, stretch out your legs, perhaps roll around in your neck. So my topic to share with you tonight, kindness and generosity. And I want to talk a little bit about how I see the difference between the two. So when we talk about kindness, if you think of kind as a noun, like what kind of fruit do you like? Or what kind of space do you live in? Or what kind of person you are? Then we recognize that being of a kind is having a fundamental nature or quality and serves to define groups of things, united, who share common traits, people, things, places of a kind. And so being of a kind with each other that breeds kindness is an attitude of recognition of what we share between us as sentient beings. Recognizing that I and that you and that we all have a shared sameness as humanity. And boy, is that hard to remember when we live in times that are so profoundly fractured and broken in terms of relationship and ability to see each other across what are real and in many ways righteous and justified battle lines. So to consider kindness as an attitude is to recognize that even with the things that are different, even with the genuine lack of shared values in so many cases, lack of shared desires and goals and views of the world, even beyond that, we are of a kind. And so kindness can exist within the broader context of how hard relational life is right now. It doesn't mean, I'm going to talk about this more when I get into the generosity piece. Kindness does not mean that you don't stand your ground. Kindness does not mean that you don't call out injustice when you see it. Kindness simply means that you speak to it from a place of grounded sameness, that we share the earth, so let's not scorch it, literally and figuratively. I think of that ability to stand ground as something that doesn't happen physically in the front of us. That more aggressive stance that feels almost hostile or pushy is not kind at all, and it doesn't recognize our sameness, our shared humanity. But I think if we can cultivate this attitude from the back of us, the place that we can't see, then we get a little more confident. We get a little stronger, a little more full in our space of wherever we're standing and whatever we're choosing to, for lack of a better word, fight for. So in our next little bit of sitting, I want to invite you to cultivate some awareness of the back of your body and let your presence rest there in the inner wall of the back, as if you could see and feel right behind your spine, to fortify ourselves with an energy that allows what can then result in the action of generosity to be born from a fullness and not some anger. So as we sit, and choose your position, choose your posture, and change it whenever you need to. However and wherever you are, picture your own spine and your central column through which life force flows. And then feel right behind it into the inner back wall of you. And be big there. Be full and broad. And as you breathe, perhaps you can feel that expansion. Not necessarily in the front of the belly or the front of the chest, but in the back. So we're filling ourselves, fortifying with kindness as we sit in recognition of each other as a kind of human together. And not together in spite of our differences, but together because of them. As if we can feel like if there's more of us, if there's more of you, more of me behind the spine, in the place that I can't see for myself, I'm stronger. I'm more capable of living out that kindness, of standing my ground in it. If we get wobbly or uncertain, we can return awareness to the front of the body to feel the breath fill the belly and puff it out and broaden the chest and the heart space inside of it. And then return again to the back side. A place of fullness, a place of confidence. So kindness can be like a broad cape that we wear that almost acts like a sail, and the breath fills it with wind and glides us forward with ease. Just another couple of minutes here, filling the back, fortifying our presence with breath that fills our sails, eases us forward. And on your next exhale, gently release your chin down and raise your heart up a bit and wake the body up, returning to your immediate surroundings. Give a little stretch, a little twist, a little shift around. This is a verse from something by the poet and speaker Andrew Gibby, and they write, "Sometimes love must ready its heart's teeth, tear its incisors through the leash of hate to reach peace. During a time when lies are invading the land of truth, let us know hope is just an idea if it doesn't lace its boots." Hope is just an idea if it doesn't lace its boots. And in the lacing of the proverbial boots, I think we make the transition from kindness to generosity. The kindness the kindness is the boots, and the generosity is lacing them up and taking a walk towards something that needs something that we have. So kindness as an attitude, a state of being, and generosity as the act that is born from it. The great scientist and anthropologist Jane Goodall wrote, you can't get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference. You just have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. Are you going to be taking, extracting and using, or are you going to be giving and sustaining and sharing? In this context, I think generosity is a sort of activism, and that goes beyond simply giving money or sharing food. Those things are important too, in small ways and in large ways. It's all important. And I think that when we can move ourselves out of a place that feels stuck, to do something that is giving of our values, giving of the thing that we fortified our kindness with, then we're really living fully out in the world. We've laced up our boots in powerful, powerful ways. There's a children's story that I love. I read to my kids when they were little. It's A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And it's the story of a little girl, a privileged little girl who lives in a beautiful, large home with everything she could imagine, except for friends. And a little boy who is very sickly, who also is staying in the house, but shut away in a room. And she befriends this boy. And in the course of their friendship and her giving of her time and her care to him, he slowly improves his health. And Frances Hodgson Burnett writes, "If nature has made you for a giver, your hands are born open, and so is your heart. And though there may be times when your hands are empty, your heart is always full, and you can give things out of that. Warm things, kind things, sweet things, help and comfort and laughter are sometimes the best help of all." So generosity does not have to be material in nature. It can be a giving of ourselves, of our kind hearts. And sometimes that's all anybody needs. To cultivate an embodied experience of generosity, as opposed to the embodied experience of kindness, which I invited you to experiment with as a filling of the back body with inhales. Generosity might be considered as a giving of a full exhale. And so that's what we'll work with now. So once again, find a comfortable seat and always feel free to shift and reconsider that seat as necessary. So remember that generosity can only happen from a full place. So we fill with inhale. We direct the wind into that sail in the back. And then we take flight with the exhale. We give. We release. Encourage you to give a little extra with each exhale. Just in that moment when you think there's no more breath, give a little more. Every exhale, an act of giving. Every exhale, a symbol of our willingness to let go. And if and when it feels like we've given too much, we refortify. Come back to focus on the inhale. Fill the sail, fill the back, reestablish the ground. Feel the seat. Drop the anchor a little deeper. And then exhale again, letting it go, giving it away. We'll finish with this wonderful, powerful poem by Naomi Shihab Nye. It's called Kindness. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment, like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you. He too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak it till your voice catches the thread of all the sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, it is I you have been looking for, and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. Let's bring some palms to our own hearts and bow the head. It's taking a moment to acknowledge the frailty of our own sensibilities and the ease with which we can forget the beauty and the kindness and the generosity of the world. But just as easily we can remember it again. And I wish that for you. Thank you so much.